Films screened that cannot be replayed here due to filmmakers' copyright. Bastion, Chili Story, Everything is Incredible, The Barber of Augusta, and The Right to be Rescued.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll be getting started in just a moment. It's always fun watching the participant number go up when we start one of these. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for signing on. We are just giving it a minute or two to let a few more participants trickle in, watching the number go up, and we will get started. We are very excited to share Superfest Showcase with you today. Okay, we are going to get started, everyone. The voice that is talking now is Emily Badix. I'm the Associate Director at the Longmore Institute on Disability at San Francisco State University. That's a lot of words, so I'm going to pause a second for the interpreter. And we are pleased to bring you Superfest ADA 30 Showcase with Disability Pride Philadelphia. We were supposed to be in Philadelphia with you all, but unfortunately we're coping and adapting, and we're really grateful for this collaboration still. We've got some slides up here that say our Twitter handles. You can follow us at Longmore Inst, and you can follow Disability Pride Philadelphia at Disab Pride Phila. And we'll be using Superfest. Actually, cue to next slide, please. Just some quick Zoom tips, and then we'll dive into a few more things today. For captioning, we posted a link in the chat box that should work a little bit better for a more fluid captioning. Zoom has a really unfortunate interface that's just always a second or two behind. So if you want to use the stream text player, you'll be able to see it, control your font size. That's a bit stronger. If you'd like to ask a question today, you can use the Q&A box. We'll be screening some films and then having a panel discussion, and we will have time for a few Q&As. With that, I will pass it to my colleague, Maxfield Hunt at the Longmore Institute.
All right, hello everyone, welcome one and all. I am Maxfield Hunt, a student fellow at Longmore Institute. I've got a checkered black and white shirt on. I've got ridiculous long blonde hair, and I'm seated in front of the spectacular Superfest Disability Film Festival sign, and I'm divulging my fandom of the Cheesecake Factory with a framed menu beside me as well. As prefaced before, this is being presented by Longmore Institute on Disability in partnership with Disability Pride Philadelphia for their ADA 30 celebration. Of course, we were supposed to be there in person, but we're still grateful for this collaboration, and we're going to make it happen nevertheless. Special thanks to Vicki Landers, Disability Pride's Philadelphia's CEO, and their sponsor, Gateway Health. So at Superfest, we aim to revolutionize disability and sort of the essence that goes around it. And when you think about it, what a better way to do that than with film, right? Because there's tons of disability in film. It becomes problematic when the films are about people with disabilities rather than by people with disabilities. That's a really important distinction. And so all of the films that are screened at Superfest are either written, directed, acted, all by people with disabilities. Another thing you'll find about our films is that we're screening them with open audio description. The last few years running the festival, we've found that this format is not only used for folks who might have sight impairments, but can really benefit everyone. It adds a whole nother layer to the film experience. We invite you to join our Nobody is Disposable film series also for additional information and more content about our core festival. So we'll be screening this evening some past films from our Superfest festivals, including a special 20th anniversary showing of disability culture rap, presented publicly for the first time with open audio description. This is exciting stuff. We'll follow this with a brief panel, and we're going to be featuring 3 experts within film and disability. And for questions as referenced on the slide before, questions, comments, these sorts of things, you can use the Q&A box within the Zoom function. And also another note, we've turned off the chat function because of the compatibility with screen readers. We find that it's convoluted, it tries to read things over, and it's just better to keep it off. And with that being said, let's start the show with some screen sharing action going on here. And let's do that now. Additionally, we'll be playing the movies consecutively and having the discussion afterwards. Just some expectation management there. That having been said, here we go.
I'm Trickster Coyote in a gnarly bone suit. I'm a fate worse than death, wearing shit-kicking boots. I'm the nightmare, Booga, you flirt with in dreams. I'm here to tell you now, it ain't what it seems.
Colorful images of people appear, words appear, disability culture rap, featuring Cheryl Marie Wade, Queen Mother of Gnarly. A woman sits in a power chair.
Disability culture. What is it about? Who we are. Coming at you from the inside out. Pass the word.
On a caricatures t-shirt, freedom of speech.
Activist. Self-advocate. FDR on wheels. Jack Kevorkian in chains. Deaf president now. Numbered graves honored with names.
A woman places a vase on a grave.
President Bush's signing of the ADA has been called the most important civil rights legislation in the last...
Tearing down the institutional walls of America's shame, brick by genocidal brick. Passing the word. I will choose where I live.
I will choose how I live.
I will choose how I live.
I will live. Disability culture. What is it about? Power.
Power! Power!
It's about power. Power.
Power. Coming at you from the inside out. Pass the word.
Reverend Dave, a church of 80% sincerity.
I see a lot of people here with normal faces. You're all very attractive in a boring kind of way. You have no scars. How do you people tell each other apart? Please, get a face!
Who are you?
Black and white photographs. A man uses an adapted car.
We are everyone.
A boy with one leg stands using crutches. A man without legs sits in a crowd. Wheelchair users hold a banner and signs. We the people adapt.
Fill in the blanks between the privilege of Christopher Reeve and the poverty of a baby thrown into a garbage heap.
Living off the shit of the privileged.
We are the disabled.
The handicapped.
The people with differing abilities liabilities. The gimpy, the hobbled, the E-I-E-I-O, folks with bodies that shake, rattle, and roll, folks with bodies that lie there and moan. The girl on the poster, boy in the bubble, 5 parts warm flesh, 2 parts heavy metal, the big kahuna of pain, the queen mother of gnarly, celebrating, pissed off, doing our damnedest to hang on.
Photographs. A man sits with bike locks behind his neck. 2 cops frog march a man. A gray-haired man holds a sign. It's about justice. Handcuffed wrists are bound behind a wheelchair. Cops frown with their arms crossed. A bearded man holds a sign. Stop the Dr. Jekylls of modern medicine.
Identity. Who are you?
I am part of the world.
Neil Marcus, the fantastic spastic mime. Smiling, Neil sits in a wheelchair. He twirls a blue umbrella. He stands on 1 foot, holding the umbrella above him. He spins the umbrella around. He crouches behind the wheelchair. He falls.
Who are you?
The wearer of the Miss America crown.
Yeah, the girl on the pedestal. The boy next door. That strange kid around the corner. We're 54 million invisible Americans. Out of sight, out of mind. People first, giving thumbs down to charity, the high five to choice. We're hand talkers, fingertip lovers. The young man with the white cane, wearing a proud queer t-shirt. The old woman with the creaky walker and the whiskey.
A woman signs.
Who am I? I'm a woman. I'm lesbian. I'm deaf. I grew up hearing. I'm part German. I have so many identities inside of myself. We're individuals.
Authentic.
We're different, but we are united. We are proud, strong, beautiful people.
I was born with this face. For most of my life, I've been very ashamed of the way that I look. Now I've come to understand that my face is an elaborately disguised gift from God. Not the kind of gift I was ecstatic about, you understand? I mean, did I open this gift and say, oh, that is so cute? How did you know I wanted, God?
Cripple, name that breaks your heart. A name that gives you juice.
Photographs. A child wears dark sunglasses and plays a harmonica. 3 men wearing dark sunglasses sit with musical instruments on a shirt. Behind this t-shirt lies a sensuous woman.
Say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft, cripple, and it's almost like praying.
Disability is life, more than life. It makes you taste life, real, close up, and to the bone.
Disability culture. What is it about? Who we are, coming at you from the inside out. The mouth that roars, the rag that rocks, a phone that spells, books that talk, going curb to curb to buy a loaf of bread. Privacy, your own space, your own bed. The power to choose.
We call it freedom.
We call it freedom.
Because freedom! Freedom, freedom. Freedom!
Culture. It's about passing the word.
In black and white, a woman types. A man sits at a microphone. A hand runs across Braille. A guy wears cowboy boots and leg braces and sits in a wheelchair. 2 women look at a monitor.
It might be authentic movement, dance that flows from the real body notes of cripples.
Light reflects off ripples in water. Photographs shine through. 1 person holds another in a deep dip. A woman dances in her power chair. A woman in a power chair touches fingers with another on the ground. A group of people dance together.
Maybe outsider art.
Paintings. A child looking out a window. A red figure on canvas, wavy outlines around a human face, an orange face with frowning red lips, a smiling face surrounded by black lines. A pixelated, smiling man's face turns to negative black and white. A man lies on the ground, drawing. Paintings. 3 figures in a sea of green. A person with their chin in their hand. A smiling man with glasses.
Or pieces of cloth stitched together to commemorate a life, to remember a name. Without words, beyond words, passing the word. Disability culture. What is it about? Naming and claiming who we are, where we come from, how we got here, where we're going, our world and welcome to it.
Disability is an art. Neil holds the umbrella upside down.
It's a way of life.
Disability culture. What is it about?
It's about passing the word.
It's about who we are.
It's about freedom.
It's about family.
It's about power. Power.
It's not about fighting amongst each other.
It's about keeping the establishment off my back. This is my son.
Maybe it's the moan and wail of the blues.
Black Diamond, Afi Tiombe Akambon.
I said, Mama Rebecca, what Massa gonna do with my baby? What he gonna do? Lord, 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 Lord. He gonna kill her, child. I said, oh no, Mama Rebecca. I know Massa ain't gonna kill my baby. He can't kill no innocent little baby. Please, don't kill my baby. Let my baby live. Gab, I heard your baby ain't got strength in his legs. I said, oh, she'll be all right. She getting stronger every day. Massa snatched my baby out of my hand, and he sling her to the ground, and he stomped and he kicked until my baby laid in a puddle of blood, dead, dead.
Naming and claiming.
Photographs. A boy with Down syndrome. A girl with her eyes crossed. A boy with severe scoliosis.
Over 200,000 lives unworthy of life. Nazi special treatment. First victims of the Holocaust. Over 200,000 ancestors in the psych wards, in the back wards, in the nursing homes, in the ovens. Physician-assisted suicide, genocide, death with dignity, in the name of first, do no harm.
People dig mass graves.
Naming and claiming.
A red symbol appears, a pride fist inside a wheelchair forming the circle for female.
Helen Keller on a platform, shouting down injustice. Not the sightless saint on a cereal box. Helen Keller on a platform, shouting down injustice. Not the miracle Madonna with the holy white smile. Passing the word. It's more about poverty and oppression than wilted muscles and milky eyes. Naming and claiming. A woman tired from a hard day's work refuses to move to the back of the bus. We shall overcome. Wheelchair riders, just one on the damn bus. Adapt or perish, we shall ride, we shall ride. The power of the people united.
Vintage video. Wheelchair users surround a bus. The bus driver holds a phone to his ear.
We want to use the same public transit as everybody else. Our taxes pay for it. We're part of the public, and we deserve to ride the public transit, and we will ride.
Disability culture. What is it about? The silence, insisting on voice in our own words, coming at you from the inside out. Pass the word.
Ben Stewart.
Just to ride the buses, man. People in wheelchairs, we went down and we protested. We chained ourselves to the bus stops. They arrested us all. Took them 4.5 hours to get paddy wagons with special lifts.
1990s, US of A. Stamped, separate and unequal by the AMA. Transplant surgery, disabled need not apply. Some people, very special people, are just meant to die. Medical rationing forced into plans, life and death at someone else's hands. Well, I'm not gonna take it. I don't have to die. Separate and equal is a lie. It's a lie.
Every time you raise issues of separate but equal, the outrage of disabled individuals across the country is going to continue. It is going to be ignited.
Separate and equal. That's bullshit.
Disability culture. What is it about? Fighting back, shouting out, coming at you.
From the inside out. Inside.
Photographs. A woman in an iron lung. A person lies on a reclining wheelchair. A person sits in the corner of a tiled room. Soldiers with amputated legs pose. A boy holds leg braces. A cartoon. Black stork babies not treated.
Step right up, right this way. Feast your eyes on the carnival midway. Or if you dare, peek behind these walls. Ain't no spotlight, sure ain't no peg. Body after body locked away. Alone in a room full of strangers, a man speaks out for the very first time. We are people first, in our own words, in our own words. The people united shall never be defeated.
We have a lot of guts, courage, power, and we have gone very far in the self-advocacy movement to prove that we are capable of making changes and difference in this world.
Institutions suck! Close them down! Institutions suck!
Naming and claiming. Ed Roberts rolls onto the campus of UC Berkeley and changes the world. Like James Meredith, he insisted he had a right to learn, fought for it, and won. Word spread, heavy-duty gimps living on campus. Notes on the underground, and there's always an underground. Passing the news, there's a new way of living, you got nothing to lose.
Excuse me, I couldn't help noticing you're in a wheelchair. Tell me, is that natural, or did you have it done? Really? Hit by a Porsche? Very cool.
Hungry for freedom, people with disabilities come from everywhere. The birth of a movement, independent living. Across the nation, people with disabilities demand an end to second-class citizenship. Sit-ins in 8 cities.
I feel like we're building a real social movement.
Washington, 28 hours. San Francisco, 25 days. Longest occupation of a federal building in U.S. history. The poster child turned revolutionary. We shall not be moved. Activists, self-advocates, political honchos, suburban malls, attendants, interpreters, pom-pom girls, Black Panthers.
Power! We are people. We are equal, and we deserve to be treated as equal.
The people united, tearing down America's shame. The rise of a disability nation.
Vintage video.
There's never been a group of people so connected to each other as this group of people here, and we're ready to walk together, march together, wheel together, find our way down the road toward real civil rights.
I discovered something about myself that I didn't know, that I counted as a person.
Disability culture. What is it about? Freedom, equality, and justice for all. Coming at you from the inside out.
Pass the word.
Pass the word.
Pass the word.
We ain't smiling inspiration for the latest worthy cause, but generation after generation changing the laws.
Parents fighting for their children.
Kids fighting for their dreams.
A kid rides on the back of a woman's wheelchair. A banner. Disabled kids have rights too.
Maybe you've been deprived. Maybe all you know is Jerry's kids. Those doom-drenched poster children hauled out once each year to wring your charitable pockets dry. The tragic but brave victim.
I'm one of Jerry's kids. I'm one of Jerry Garcia's kids.
We are also Jerry's orphans, proud freedom fighters, taken to the streets, taken to the stages.
A postcard with a handprint. Nothing about me without me. A man points. A man in a wheelchair smiles with a newspaper. Vintage video of Cheryl on stage. Vintage video of Ben on stage. A photograph of a dancer in a wheelchair with another dancer on their back.
Raising speech-impaired voices in celebration of who we are. Radical, true, passing the word.
Two wheelchair dancers circle each other. A photograph of a dance class with standing and sitting dancers. A black man in a wheelchair scats outside.
Disability culture. What is it about? You can live life free, you can live life proud, you can be living out loud. Pass the word.
Reverend Dave, the Church of 76% Sincerity.
My face looks like this because when I was a little boy like you, I touched my wee-wee.
Disability is jazz, jazzy jazz, and all that. Yeah.
The sass. The outrageous kick-ass laughter. The movement.
The revolution.
Coming out, getting down, making it big time. Disability cool. Disability hot. The red hot power of different with a capital D. Flaunting it. Sequins on the scars. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. It's all these magnificent bodies, electric, downright, flat out, digging who I am, me, in all my cripple wholeness, coming at you from the inside out. Pass the word.
Photographs. A sign. I'm a quad and I won't kill you. A little person stands next to a person with a cane. A person embraces a woman in a wheelchair.
Yeah, there's always an underground. An idea gets said, passed along, amended, embellished. Language gets claimed. Notes are passed among survivors. And the notes we're passing these days, they say we have power.
Power!
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 Pass the word.
Pass the word.
Pass the word.
Pass the word.
Each and every day, you gotta pass the word.
Disability culture. What is it about? This, and this. All of this and so much more. Coming at you from the inside out.
Pass the word, baby.
Described by Audio Eyes. Credits appear. Disability Culture Rap. Written and performed by Cheryl Marie Wade. Directed by Jerry Smith. Executive producers Rick Cardenas, Mary Kay Kennedy. Produced by Cheryl Marie Wade, Jerry Smith. Camera and editing, Jerry Smith. Motion, graphics, and sound, Richard Stachulek. Associate producer, Penny Hall. Resource queen, Pamela Walker. Original music, John Housley. Saxophone, Johnny Mad Sax Magnuson. Credits continue. Copyright Advocating Change Together, 2000.
Hello, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed our program. My name is Emily Badix. I am the Associate Director at the Longmore Institute and also the coordinator for Superfest, or I have been for the last 7 years. And now we're going to have a little panel discussion. So if our panelists can please turn on their video and unmute. And if you have questions that you'd like to ask, you can go ahead and add them to the Q&A.
I don't see myself, Mom.
We will have a, oh, we can hear you, AJ. we'll see you in just a moment. So go ahead and pose a few questions in the Q&A if you would like to. I've asked the panelists to introduce themselves and give a brief audio description of themselves as well, in case we have any call-in viewers or blind low vision folks joining us today. Can I ask that we go Lawrence, Matthew, and then AJ? I think we'll have video by that point.
Fantastic. My pleasure. Hi, Emily. Lawrence Carter Long here. I am the Communications Director for the Disability Rights, Education and Defense Fund, and the Director of the Disability and Media Alliance Project at DREDF, and a movie buff and a fan of Superfest going back. I'm a skinny white man with hair that's way too long right now, and a gray, closely stubbled, very fetching beard. So good to be here.
Matthew?
My name is Matthew Alaniz. I live in Austin, Texas. I am a screenwriter, and I also do consulting on scripts for people here in Austin, independent film, directors, producers, and other aspiring writers. Let's see, I am Hispanic, Latino, in desperate need of a haircut. And let's see, I have a little bit of a goatee, and it looks to be like a blue shirt I'm wearing today. And I'm in my dining room area. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And AJ's asked me to do some audio description for him. I would say he does not need a haircut, looking nice and trim. He's an 80s baby in his 30s, wearing a bright red button-up shirt, and is African-American and had some headphones on for joining us today. AJ, can you say a bit more about your experience that connects us to Superfest today?
Yes, hi. I'm an actor and a public speaker. I've been acting, and I'm also a writer. I'm working on the script and also a book that will hopefully be out this year. And I've been acting for about 10 years or so, mostly on stage, with the last 4 years getting the opportunity to be on the big and small screen. And I'm very glad to be here today.
Great, thank you all. So we started out with the first film, which is for the 20th anniversary of that film, Disability Culture Rap. And we're also this month, of course, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the ADA and also looking forward. I guess I'd like to start out by just asking you all to think about these films. You know, what do they tell us about where we're coming from and where we are today, as well as perhaps where we're going? Maybe we can start with Matthew and then go to Lawrence and AJ.
Well, just seeing that film, I think I've seen it twice already. I think it's an important part of the history. I think it tells a deep narrative of where the kind of culture started, and we can obviously see how far we've come, and at the same time we can see how far we actually need to go as well. So yeah, it's one of those films that it's definitely an entertaining piece to watch, but also very informative too, which I can definitely appreciate.
Hi, this is Lawrence. It's been almost 20 years since I've seen Disability Culture Rap. So it was, you know, and my evolution has occurred in the last 20 years as well. And I was sort of struck by those parallels. Also blown away by just seeing old friends there, people like Cheryl Marie Wade and David Roche, Diane Coleman in some of the photos, and Johnny Crescendo out there in Philly, and folks like Greg Wallach, who just had a birthday. So it was really quite amazing just to see so many folks that I've been blessed to kind of get to know over the last couple of decades and the last 15 years since I've been involved as a disability advocate and a media guy. What really kind of struck me most about that film is just how sassy and feisty and unapologetic it is, and how so much of the media that we see surrounding disability almost asks for acceptance or almost begs to be included. But this really just sort of puts it in people's faces and requires the audience to come to disability on disability's own terms and the disability community's own terms. And I think it's really unique, even 20 years later, in its approach. And I'd love to see many, many more films like that. You know, I'm struck by how more of the most interesting things aren't in the mainstream. They're just a little bit in the fringe, just a little bit on the outside. That's where the juice is. That's where the energy is. And that's what I really appreciate about that film.
Yeah, I just want to echo what the panel is saying. This is my second time seeing the film, and I just love how irreverent it was, and how in your face, and no holds barred. And I just thought it was beautiful how it wove all the history together, and it was like this is who we are, and accept us, you know. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And I just appreciate it how it was so in your face. And I love like the spoken word style of it, and I love it. I think there should be a part two.
I appreciate that. Future filmmakers who are listening, get right on that. So I think there's a moment happening right now where certainly disability is in mainstream film in a way that it really wasn't previously. AJ, you were on Drunk History. That's incredible. Lawrence, you were gonna star as an actor in a film that was gonna premiere at South by Southwest. Sundance gave a huge amount of attention to Access this year, and had a lot of attention went into the film Crip Camp, which was on Netflix. What do you all make of this? Do we think that this is a sort of like, are we the fad of the moment, or is this going to have a lasting impact? Maybe let's start this one with AJ, and then go to Matthew and Lawrence.
I hope not. I think we're living in a very interesting time with all these things sort of going on and sort of bubbling at the surface at once. And you know, I hope that when you know, one of the things that I think about is how we're fortunate to we still have a long way to go, but I often think about how, wow, I'm glad to be born in such a time as this, because you know, we have YouTube available, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, and even though there's a lot of stuff going on, like so much racial upheaval, and we have Corona, and we have 45 in office, and sometimes it seems like everything's going crazy. But on the other hand, it's such a small world. So I think that lends itself to more opportunities for more diversity, and I hope that you know, it could be a fad. That's why I think it's up to us as advocates and as actors and performers to sort of strike while the iron is hot and say, you know, I'm here, and we're here, and we're here to stay. So hopefully, you know, I think that there's a lot of things sort of culminating all at once. But I think that's all. I think that's all for the better with authentic representation, and I just hope it continues. But I think a lot of that has to do with the time that we're in and the fact that in some ways the world is so small. You know, you don't just have to go to um, the studios or the big TV networks anymore. There's YouTube and there's all sorts of streaming services, people being discovered on Instagram. So I look at it as like lots of opportunity.
This is Matthew. I'll just kind of, he pretty much said everything I kind of wanted to say. He summed it up fairly well. I think just to reiterate a little bit, I think hopefully it's not a fad, and just to kind of reiterate what AJ said, there is so much opportunity now. We have there's so much content out in the universe right now. There's, like you said, YouTube and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all these streaming services, and we do see many more voices being heard. I think the important thing to take away from that is that we need more artists, right? We need more writers, we need more directors, we need more actors, we need more performers, we need more people with disabilities to kind of step into the limelight, to get behind and in front of the camera and not be afraid to express your voice. And this is just a perfect opportunity to do it right now with just the amount of streaming services and content that's out there, and just the amount of change that's happening in the world right now too. It's just a great it's a little bit of a terrifying time sometimes, but it's also a time where it's important to have a voice. It's important to use it. It's important to use it in the right way, in a responsible way, and to just not be afraid and make yourself heard.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with those sentiments. I think that's all true. And as somebody who does media work every day, that's sort of the bulk of what I do in my career. I think there's some really amazing things that are happening, which are very unique. One, even if it is the fad of the moment, let's say, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? The fact that we're sort of having this cultural moment and all of the work for decades, if not centuries, that have led to this moment have made it possible. And it's really clear to me, having been lucky enough to be at the premiere of Crip Camp at Sundance back in January, and watching the reactions to that, which have been quite a bit different than what I've seen in my 15 years prior. People are asking the question, why didn't I know this? They're asking themselves, they're asking content creators, why haven't I seen this before? What seems to be different, what appears to be different in this moment in time, based on everything that's come before, is there's a real hunger for this material. There's a real appetite for something people haven't seen before, that's sort of out there, that's been maybe on the periphery to them. But, as my friend Clark Matthews says, at Rooted in Rights, people with disabilities were around before stairs. And people are sort of getting hip to the idea, finally, that there's always been a disability history. There's always been a disability culture, and they're starting to wonder, why didn't they know about it? And that's disabled people and non-disabled people alike. And I think we're at this really, really unique moment in time where we've got more people with disabilities creating work, so that it's not just about people with disabilities, it's by people with disabilities. And that brings a fresh perspective. That brings new insight. So I think even if people are just getting hip to the idea that, whoa, this is something I didn't really know about before, that lightning has been unleashed, and I don't think there's any going back.
Well, I appreciate the optimism. I hear. So one audience member asked if somebody could explain the film Bastion to them. Audience member who asked that, you are not alone. When we first screened that for our jurors, which was a few years back now, just were like, wow, I love that. What was it about? So you're really not alone. They watched it a couple of times. Lawrence, Matthew, or we don't need everybody to weigh in, but does anybody want to take a stab at it? I can certainly share the experience I know from what the director shared when he attended Superfest, but if anybody wants to kind of interpret it, we'll go for it first.
My quick interpretation is that it's about playing around with expectations. It's sort of seeing where people might be at and then understanding what they might assume and playing with those assumptions in very creative and very unique ways. So my sense is that there weren't any easy answers purposefully, and that the director, the creators probably left that for the audience to ponder and to think about on their own. That is exactly the way that they described it. So it's actually made by a really exciting theater company that's had production company that's had many films featured at Superfest. They'll have a film at our upcoming Core Festival in October. And they're all the people in the cast are people with disabilities. And the main actor in the wheelchair is, not in the wheelchair, in the barber's chair is autistic. And they said that this has been such an interesting experience with this film. It actually opened as a installation piece at an art gallery. So it was that movie playing in surround sound, and there's a barber's chair in the middle that you could actually sit in while you watched it. And the film screened at many mainstream festivals without any conversation of disability. And for them, they were like, oh, it's so obviously a disability film. I don't know why nobody sees that. But it was really a very exciting example for us at Superfest of the stealth approach to, some films are like obviously front and forward about disability, and others it can be more nuanced, and we can show that disability film can be as sort of avant-garde as other film festivals across the world. So thank you again, audience member. I almost always make sure to talk about that when we cover it, because it's always interesting to see who's the person who raises their hand and says, I don't get it. Another audience member asked, how do we close the gap and educate the world to look at the deeper levels and issues of accessibility? Or just how do we open people's hearts and minds? And how are you all approaching that with the work that you do in film? Does anybody want to go first?
I think one of the ways to do that is, well, there's so many facets and aspects to that, but one of the ways that I'm very passionate about is film. One of the things that I often say is film and art, theater can make things palpable that sometimes policy we may not understand, or we may not get certain political motivations, but if it's in art, if it's in a story, that's something that's very understandable and palpable. And so one of the ways that I want to educate people and talk about access is through film and television. I think that's one of the most powerful ways that we can use the medium.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important for art to first and foremost entertain. That's primarily what it's for. But it's also important to hold up a mirror to society and say this is who we are as a people, and these are the things that we love about ourselves, and these are also the things that we need to change about ourselves. And I think being another film buff and being someone who's in the fringes of the industry, so to speak, as a writer, I think it's just using your voice, and not being afraid to use that voice and telling your stories. Everything is storytelling. It's just important to get your story out there. That's the only people are going to get heard.
Yeah, I agree with that, and a lot of the work that we do is across platforms, right? So it's film and TV, it's the news media, and it's also advertising, and trying to work within those areas, because that's how you shape hearts and minds, right? You can sort of sensitize people to the issues, to the policy issues, to the laws, to the legal work, whatever it might be. But if you got to get them in the heart first, you got to get their juices flowing. You got to get them thinking first, so that they can be prepared, so that they can be ready to kind of dig a little deeper, go a little deeper. I think the I don't want to say trick, but I think the main fuel, the fire for creative types, for artists and for activists, is to recognize that when we're tired of something, everybody else is just starting to catch on. Everybody else is just starting to kind of get it. We might have known it our entire lives or for years, but yeah, as we kind of get bored and ready to move on, they're just sort of getting the memo. So I think what happens is when you start to see success, when you start to see the culture change, is when you don't give up. Is when it's really difficult and it's really hard and you're fatigued and you're tired and you don't know if you're the only one who thinks this way, feels this way, writes this way. Push through that. Take a deep breath, take a pause, take a beat, recharge your batteries, go back to it stronger than ever. That's when I think those most creative breakthroughs as an artist are made, and when those breakthroughs occur in society.
We have a young filmmaker asking questions, an aspiring filmmaker just about to start a cinema studies career, and they are interested in being an actor and director and want you all to share advice on what do you have for young people trying to break into this industry today? Maybe not today, because it's a really hard day to break into this industry, but let's say 6 months.
Just create content. You know, I think we live in a world that's just so technologically advanced to where everyone has the capability of recording something in your pocket right now. And I think it's important to take advantage of that. And like we were talking about earlier in one of the questions, there's just so much content and so many ways to share that content that you just have to, I'm saying that you have to kind of put yourself out there and be a content maker, whether that's through writing or acting or directing. Just do it, you know, not to borrow somebody else's slogan, but, you know, just get out there and do it. That's the only really advice I can really share to that, is, you know, being a writer that's just constantly trying to write new things and create new things and put them out into the world.
Yeah, I would say a big piece for me is I would echo what he said, but I would also, community is really important, and getting to know other artists and like getting to know other mentors, whether it's through social media, following people, sending them a message through DM, and then like building. And I'm not talking about being phony or just trying to get in there and make it through a phony relationship, but getting to know people, and networking is really key. Artists connecting with other artists is really awesome, because you can share ideas, you can grow, you can also um, share your work, or somebody can tell you about an audition or a program to get into or scholarship. The power of community is really important, and connection.
And Lawrence, you have like a 30-second answer because we're real short on time.
Yeah, I would just say that
Sorry.
understand that you are not alone, that there's a history and a lineage and a community out here that's got your back, and that are facing and confronting the same sorts of things with the same type of energy. So yeah, I agree with AJ. Connect with folks and let that buoy you.
Well, thank you all so much. That was a really quick panel, but covered a lot, and a really fun way to kick off a weekend, to get to hear from you and have so many people joining us from across the country for a night of film. I would love if you all kept in touch with Superfest. We're getting ready for our core festival this October, which will have some really exciting premieres of films from all over the world. It is worth participating in. I just want to give one final thanks to Disability Pride Philadelphia, Vicki Landers, for reaching out, wanting to do this and getting us going. And Jerry Smith, who is the director of Disability Culture Wrap, who reached out and said, it's the 20th anniversary, can we do something? And was willing to take a film from 20 years ago and get audio description added to it. So that was really wonderful. And to all of our filmmakers who are willing to share their films with everyone today, free of charge, because they just want them to be seen by people to show that even in isolation, we can still feel community right now. So thank you all so much and have a good evening. And we'll be in touch with a survey and ways to communicate. If you want to learn more about our films or any other questions, you'll get our information to reach out. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you, Superfest.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
This is awesome. Thank you.